became friends at like 14, like I said, over a girl and stuff like that. And then I think as we got older, we knew school just wasn't for us. You know, that's kind of where him and I started clicking more. So it was kind of being the people that just weren't responsible, right? And we decided to launch a phone app when we were 16. We went to California.
Where'd you guys go to high school?
Cibola.
Cibola.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Go Cougars. Yeah.
Hell
well,
yeah,
I mean,
cool.
Technically, I enrolled there. You know, I was kicked out of another school, so I enrolled at Cibola, but then they wouldn't let me play football. So then I just said, I kind of like, I sold drugs there for a little bit, but not much school. But yeah, so anyway, you guys developed an app when you were 16. Holy shit.
Yeah. So it was with some friends. Actually, it wasn't even my doing, man. So him and I didn't like each other once again because of a girl at the time. And we were just being friends and having that little beef between each other.
Yeah.
And this dude shows up in my house like at 8 a.m. one day, and he's like knocking on the door. He's like, dude, can we have a quick meeting real quick? And I'm like, what's up? Like, what's going on? I thought me and you weren't friends, you know? And the first thing he's like, dude, let's go to California. He's like, I got a phone app. We've been working on this, me and my dad, like whatever. He's like, I only know one person that I'll take out there with me. So I was like, yeah, let's go, dude. So I packed my stuff. We left the next morning, and we were out there for like, 6 months, I think.
So phone apps were a rather new thing at that time too, right? Yeah. I mean, it was an emerging market.
Yeah, it was a brand new market that just developed.
So what was the phone app? What was the concept behind it?
So the concept behind it was like almost like a Groupon.
Okay.
So essentially, it was like it was an app that
he probably ain't gonna be able to talk if he smokes.
Yeah, if I smoke, dude, and I started.
No, that's fine. It's not required.
Yeah.
It was like a Groupon app, just push notifications to you that allowed you to like get notified on deals that were nearby. You know,
that's smart.
Yeah, at the time, because there wasn't really much like that. There was like one leading competitor, and they were crushing the market. Right, it was like just trying to basically catch up with them.
Yeah,
and that's what was hard, but it was cool.
Yeah, no, an app's one of those things where like it either works or it doesn't. I know a lot of guys that have gone into it, had what seems like a great idea, and they just couldn't get it off.
Yeah.
So what happened with it?
Dude, we kind of got into it with our developer a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then also our investor's son was kind of controlling the market here in New Mexico. So like as I'm in meetings giving presentations, we're like getting bad reviews. And I'm like, yeah, we did like an update on the app, and it was kind of his job to go in and educate people at the time on kind of like what the different updates were. And as we're like pitching it to, you know, multiple people at a time, it's just populating. Bad review, you know, so it just ended up failing. But that wasn't kind of like the end of it. We decided to go to Denver to go chase like a whole nother dream. And, you know, still came back to New Mexico, man. New Mexico's home. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It was like the start of everything, honestly. That's kind of what kicked the whole.
It showed you that there was that you had a chance at being entrepreneurs.
Yeah, there was something there.
Yeah.
You know? And it was.
So what'd you guys do after that? What was the next business?
So we went to Colorado, and we had a neighbor by the name of Jeffrey, right? And Jeffrey, he owned like the second biggest real estate lending or mortgage lending company in the United States. So it just so happened to fall into our lap to where we started working for this guy. Everything was going good, man. It's just whenever we were at that age, or at least for me, what brought me back to New Mexico is just kind of the being uncomfortable, you know, and not really knowing what's going on. Am I going to work for this guy for the rest of my life? Am I going to be able to go do my own thing? And it just wasn't for me, man. And I moved back to New Mexico, and I think I started selling cars, just trying to figure out the next thing. Yeah,
I stayed out there for another year and a half, just kind of like.
So it was like a realty deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys were supposed to be you were working for him, but
right.
You're supposed to make a bunch of money, and
didn't really fall through, and then he came back to New Mexico, started selling cars, and then I stayed out there for about another year and a half, kind of just battling like jobs and just random stuff, you know. I started actually like painting art and other things like that, and then I was just wanted to come back. The market in Denver just got like crazy expensive.
Did you say painting?
Yeah, painting.
Oh, you're an artist.
Yeah,
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I do. I've been an artist for a while now.
Yeah, like all the artwork that's in like our offices or even at the dispensary. Yeah, he painted pretty much majority of it.
Really? Man, I keep finding out more cool shit about you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, number one, welcome to the Pharm table.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Thank you for
why
having
don't
us.
you introduce yourselves?
Cool, man. So I'm Canon. I'm one of the owners at DAFT Republic. I'm more of the operations side of things. So I oversee, the daily operations from the grow to the dispensary, making sure the people are, meeting their quotas. Also at the same time, like quality control, everything like that. But yeah, man, pretty much that's what I take care of.
My name's Dalton. I'm one of the other owners of DAFT Republic, and I handle a lot more back office stuff. Financials, all the boring office stuff.
And DAFT's not your only company, right?
No, definitely not. We have that automotive company, so it's Hella Clean Automotive. Yeah, we started that in 2016.
Yep, November of 2016.
Wow, so it's that mature. I didn't realize how mature that.
Yeah. So we started that working at the dealership and stuff like that. I saw the owner of the detailing company collect a check. And when I realized, I'm like, that dude's getting that from kind of just washing cars,
Mm-hmm.
It was something that was like, it's an easy way to just get a side income coming in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to at least make a little bit more money and try to figure something out. So it was kind of a joke. I called him and I was like, dude, let's get a detailing company together and let's get your brother.
You guys were both car salesmen at the time.
Yeah, at the time, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Two different dealerships.
I was like, we could have your brother start off with lot washes. Like, let's put a tank.
Well, and you're not lying, bro. Those dudes make fucking money.
Yeah, it's great. It's great money.
And I've had some friends that were car salesmen and worked at dealerships and were mechanics at dealerships. And no, dude, the detail and body work, like minor body work, and the guys that pull up in the van and paint,
right?
They'll like do car paint
exactly.
like in the lot,
like
under a little fucking gazebo tent.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit is so fucking lucrative.
Yeah.
Super lucrative.
So no, good job to kind of notice that. Shows you guys were being observant because I've seen the same thing and I've been like, holy shit, these car washers, basically, a lot of there's all kinds of different ancillary companies that make money off the dealerships, but specifically the car washers, the detailers, they bank it.
Yeah, for sure. So,
if they're good, if they got their shit together, if they're efficient, if they can do a lot.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So that's like, I was like, dude, let's get your brother in there. Let's get him doing lot washes, and then this guy kind of took it to the next level. He like the very next day, he's like, yo, we have to sign a little bit of paperwork to get this business registered. It's going to take, X amount of time. And I was like, dude, you're serious about doing this? All right, let's do it. So his brother starts, going and hitting up the places that I'm telling him. Dalton creates us a website to where we start offering mobile washes. Like, these are just bigger details that are going to come to your house,
Yeah.
And we were completely booked, man, within like 2 weeks of that, just naturally, which was
such
crazy.
good pricing too. Like,
was it the same name as it is now?
Yeah.
It's always been that name.
Because I've always liked the name.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Sometimes I'm like, man, but
it's funny. A lot of people that were from California.
Yeah. Well, right off the Hella is a California.
California. Yeah, exactly.
But and California is one of those areas that have kind of sculpted the car culture,
right?
As well as the cannabis culture, as you guys, I'm sure, have seen. So no, that's cool. I didn't know it was just a detailing service at first.
Yeah.
We started off very simple, man. Simple pricing, and we were probably like the cheapest in town at the time too, for mobile washes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy that from a teenage age that you guys were that kind of into figuring out a way to do something, to make money, to put something together that was going to make you successful. That's I think that's like kind of one of those natural born entrepreneur kind of things. Is we don't always do good in school.
Right.
I'm a dropout. I'm a high school dropout and college dropout.
That's actually where the name DAFT Republic came from.
Okay.
Yeah. So like DAFT Republic, I mean, DAFT means like foolish or idiotic, right?
Yeah.
So we were always like the people that they're like, no, don't go date that guy or don't hang out with them, And now it's like all those people that couldn't hang out with me work for me. Like, so it's like,
I think school's important. And, people shouldn't take this the wrong way, because obviously I want my fucking heart surgeon to go to school. You know what I mean?
But you also want him to be passionate about working on hearts.
I do. In this day and age, I think school kind of creates workers and kind of molds workers. And I think that there's a certain amount of people, there's a certain type of character that is a entrepreneur, leader, creator, something at heart, and they can't. It's a flame they can't put out.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter how much they try to be a good worker, their mind works different, their body works different, their heart works different. And I think that there's nothing wrong with anybody that goes to school and is a worker and is a great worker.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, man, absolutely not.
We wouldn't be here. The world wouldn't be here if there wasn't that character and that mentality too. But I think it's crazy that you guys not only had the want and like instinct from such an early age, but then found each other and kept trying to do something together.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's
Thanks,
cool.
man. That's cool.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate
unique.
that.
That's extremely unique.
Thank you, dude.
And especially being two young Albuquerque guys, like, you know what I mean? This is a place where you can definitely not be successful.
Right.
It's very easy to not be successful in New Mexico and in Albuquerque. We're one of the poorest states in the nation, you know, and one of the lowest in education. And, you know, so yeah, you know, and I guess where I'm going with that is it's really cool to see two guys that got together and figured out a way. Yeah. And yeah, it seems like things are going well.
Yeah, man, things are going well. This industry is a little crazy, you know.
It's a wild west.
The people that we are fortunate to have in this industry, you know, are definitely interesting individuals all the way around. And it's just crazy to hear just how many. I mean, we have the Pharm, right? So every time I'm giving a tour, it's, have you heard this about this person, or have you heard that about this person? And it's almost like a cancer within the industry, man. Like it just kills everything off. And it's crazy because I've always heard the best way to win a race is to not look over your shoulder, you know? So get your plan, do it, you know? And I look at everybody like competing in like this, you know, just crab, like a bucket full of crabs. Does that make sense?
We've talked about it on the podcast multiple times, and it's sad. And it does, I think, affect not only this industry, but this state extremely bad, that mentality. And I've had certain members of the team that were like, oh, just, you know, I'm just going to tell them about so-and-so and I'm sure I'll get the sale or whatever. And I'm told them, no, you know, I don't give a fuck what so-and-so did. We win because we're the best. Right. We win because we show up and we do it better. We look better. We taste better. You know what I mean? We represent ourselves better. We're the real company. You don't have to go in and say, you know, fuck them, or, oh, did you hear about them? And to win and to get ahead. And I think that so many people overlook that and they let it become this gossip war, kind of petty fucking, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? And half of the time it's bullshit. You know, so no, I think that's definitely the way to be. And that's definitely how we, you know, promote the way to be here, and our sales guys and people that go out and represent the company. You know, I don't want to hear anything bad about, you know, the company next door or whatever. Granted, there's a couple that I like that I don't, you know, I'll talk some shit about every now and then, but definitely not in a sales pitch. You know what I mean? In fact,
not to hurt anybody's business, it's just talking shit.
Well, in fact, the ones that I don't like the most, I want to be right next to on the fucking shelf. Let's go. That's in me. That's going to battle. That's game time. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm confident with what we've put together, and I think that we can go up against anybody. And that's, I'd like that mentality to be out there, you know, among everybody, but it's not.
Yeah. And it's just like New Mexico is an amazing state with how proud we are about our culture and everything like that. However, whenever it comes to remembering what your worth is yourself and holding that class and just kind of consistently letting your work speak for itself, we fall very short, you know? So I feel like with our company, we do, you know, a very good job at kind of sticking to ourselves. We don't really mention too many people, and we kind of, like you said, you know, that we keep the big people around us, right? We keep, like, I tell Dalton all the time, I'm like, we're like this fish in the ocean, dude, with like 3 big sharks just on each side of us. And we're just listening to everybody bicker, but we're just at the same time, you know, just going right along the stream, right?
Well, and if you're headed in the same direction, you don't got to be the biggest shark in the pond.
Exactly.
And I think that, you know, I just posted it on social media about being real. I think there's a certain value in just being real.
Always.
You don't got to fake a front. You don't got to remember what you told this person and what, you know, who you were to them and who you were to them. You can be yourself. And I think that, you know, that genuine side of things in the end sells. People want genuine shit from genuine people.
Yeah, exactly.
And or just want to do business with genuine people. And the fake always flakes off. The fake always tarnish.
Always.
Well, and like I deal with, like, you know, I'm sure you deal with the same thing in wholesale. You deal with all these retailers, and they don't want to pay their bills, man. And they want to give you so many different excuses. And the crazy thing is I've had a couple of dispensaries come up to me and be like, hey, this is a position that we're in, and can you help us out with this? And I'm like, you know, man, like, I actually believe you're going to pay your net 14 because you're telling me, you know, but it's the ones that just expect the net 14 or pretend like they expect the net 14 and then, or the net 7. We do net 7s at the most, really.
Yeah.
But like whenever that happens, it's crazy to me because those are the people that just don't pay, man.
Well, and it's become, and I would really like somebody to put out a New Mexico blacklist.
Right.
Obviously, you know, I couldn't put it out because that would be biased, but somebody needs to put out a New Mexico blacklist.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're right. There's multiple fucking companies that are operating right now across the state that are not paying their bills.
Right.
They're also shopping. So they'll shop out a client. So they'll get a bill with me and they'll get a bill so high with no intention to pay it just to go to one of my competitors and be like, oh, I'll bring all the business from farmers over to you if you give me this price. And then, you know what I mean? They're doing the same thing on the weed side, the same thing on the edible side. And it's wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you know, something needs to be done for these people that aren't paying their bills.
Right. I mean, even like a form that you fill out, like whenever you take in, like, who was your previous, you know, purchase with, and maybe if something like that was just kind of managed by the state to where, you know, it's like you have to make sure that debts are paid before you move on. Like
California is proposing it, kind of like they do right now with people getting shut down for not paying their taxes.
Right. Yeah.
California is proposing that there is a good standing invoice, good standing business thing that goes in where companies, let's say so-and-so doesn't pay their bill. I can call the state line and say, hey, you know, so-and-so hasn't paid their bill. They'll write it down, blah, 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 goes into a file. And if they don't rectify and pay, they go into bad standing, just like you would if you weren't paying your taxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
and then when they go to license, they can't relicense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate to say it, man, but with, I don't even know if I should say out loud, I have over $300,000, almost $400,000 owed to farmers right now from different companies across the state. And I mean, it's almost like fucking heartbreaking. I feel like crying even saying that out loud.
Right.
But that's fucking true.
Yeah.
And so, I would like it so that these people that are just blatantly ripping people off in the industry, they're not allowed to get relicensed. I would love that. You know what I mean? And
I hear
it's
you.
nuts,
I hear you.
dude.
And then it's just like, it just, everybody sees the people that aren't paying, you know, but the people that are supposed to be getting paid, they're about to stop paying, you know, because it's like, how do you keep up with your, you know, your daily bills without having people pay your stuff, you know, like.
Well, now I'm seeing it the other way too, where people that owe me that were like paying payments are like, oh, I got fucked.
Yeah.
So I don't have money that I thought I was coming in to pay you with. And it's just like vicious circle of like the turnaround fucking burn game.
Right.
And it's nuts.
And that's hard too with nets too, because it doesn't just include like if you get paid on the spot, that's great. But like let's say it's net 14, but that falls on a Friday. That's business days,
of
right?
Course.
That's the way it's always like that. So then Monday comes around and then it's an ACH and then it's 3 to 5 more days.
Yeah.
So that's like a net 25,
well, we've had a couple people bold-faced tell us, you know, we go to take the package all happy, you know, whatever. It's a nice invoice. We get there and we're like, oh yeah, you know, here's the invoice. Can we get payment? And they're like, oh, we're going to send an ACH. So then you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Get money in the bank.
Back. Yeah.
And that fucking ACH never comes.
Never comes.
And so it's, you know, it's one of those it's the new checks in the mail. Is we'll just send a, you know, ACH, and you want to trust in business, but you know, you can't. You can't.
No.
And so, and the sad part is the recourse is limited.
Yes.
You know, and then, you know, a lot of these companies are on their way out.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look, it's current events, you know, Sacred Garden. Sacred Garden is a med license, and they just hung up their hat.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think if they said September 21st, they're no more.
Right.
So
these are people that have already had their system established and just kind of had their set, you know, foundation. and are going out, you know. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we face right now is becoming a new brand for New Mexico, you know, because of course, you know, being from New Mexico, we want to make sure that it is a New Mexico brand. But at the same time, having to deal with competitors, you know, in the industry that are these, you know, higher ups, corporate type settings, while we're trying to learn this industry that's consistently changing. Like it's always changing. So it's like, how do you learn in something that's just, you got to learn with it, right?
Well, and that brings me to something I kind of wanted to ask you guys was, you know, you guys started with auto detailing,
right,
and have built that to a successful business. What differences do you see while building a cannabis business to a successful business? What big differences do you see?
I'll let him talk about the legal side of things for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the difference between the cannabis and the automotive industry, it's actually fairly similar, like in many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as business goes, of course, there's differences, but as far as culture and all around like consumer and patient markets for cannabis and then in the automotive industry, it's fairly similar, man. Like it goes hand in hand in many ways.
Okay.
You know, I mean, people that come from the car culture are they're listening to the same music. They're around the same type of people. A lot of them smoke weed, you know, and
well, I have noticed that there's definitely an intersection of, I think, car culture and cannabis culture.
Yeah.
You know, and just like same thing with car culture and like music culture, you know what I mean? And what do you think business wise is the biggest difference you guys see?
Oh, there's, I mean,
taxes.
Yeah. I mean,
you can write off everything for hella clean.
You can write off everything for hella clean. Yeah. Yeah. As far as hella clean goes, it's amazing. You can write off everything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what it is.
Like a normal American
things, man.
business.
Normal
like
American business.
Yeah.
Cannabis industry is completely restricted in every way, shape, and form, you know, and it's hard.
Do you think that auto detailing is as saturated as cannabis?
It got there for a minute, you know.
Like, I mean, there's got to be a lot of
saturated.
It's just crazy, man. Like whenever we started with like an Instagram, a bunch of videos, reels, and it helped us blow up like really well. And then every time we turned around, you know, it was like, oh, my friend's starting this, my friend's starting that, because it is an easy thing to get into, you know. However, your reach is everything. Who do you know? How do you know you can consistently get them on schedule? But as far as like legal matters and business goes, man, the hardest thing is like, the automotive industry is like any other business. It's already established, or everything's established.
100%.
Yeah.
The cannabis industry.
Whatever,
yeah. New Mexico is like we just happen to procrastinate a lot, man. And we put a lot of stuff off. And whenever we get to the point to putting in new laws, regulations, it's usually a mess, you know, and right now it is a mess. It started out a mess. It's starting to kind of clear up a little bit, but even then, like, it's crazy. I've been what's the word I'm looking for? I've gone through like audits, you know, and just kind of inspections. And every time that I go through that, it's the same people. I'm like, you guys have to do this for every dispensary or every grow around the state. And you guys have 6 people. Yeah. Like, you know, and it's crazy because I'll talk to one of my friends that has a smaller place down on Central. He's yet to be inspected. Yeah. You know, and it's like, those are the people we're waiting to kind of fall off, you know, and it's just.
Well, what kills me is we just went through inspection.
Yeah.
Passed with flying colors. You know, we've always passed inspections. We've never had a problem here. But what kills me is the places that are illegally growing. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of the big illegal grow on the other side of the mountain. Mm-hmm. They're not doing a fucking thing about it.
Right.
They don't give a fuck. They know about it. They're completely aware of it. Everybody's talking about it. And it's just being allowed to just go. Mm-hmm. And so, but yet you have companies that are like following the rules that are being forced to fucking walk on eggshells.
Right.
And oh my gosh, fucking some of the violations are absolutely stupid.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's like with New Mexico, the first place that I feel like they went wrong was the emergency like the emergency rules that were put out right when we went rec, right? So I remember me and Dalton were scrambling to get everything, you know, all these different approvals, all this different zoning approvals. And then right when we're about to get our license, they're like, oh, emergency rules, we're not going to have enough product. You guys don't need any of this. And then everybody's like, oh, okay, I got an ID and I got a social. Let's run a background check and now have a dispo or now have a grow. And it's like, dude, I didn't need any of that. So I could have had from the get-go when this stuff was cranking out. Like,
no rule. There is no rule.
Yeah, seriously. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, I'll never forget that. Our partners were like, wait, so all that stuff that we just did, I was like, we don't need it, man. I'm just going to send in these 3 papers.
Yeah, run it.
Let's do
Hurry,
it, you know?
hurry.
Yeah. And we were like one of the very first people to put in. I remember like we had a really small license number or an application number. And we were like number 400 and something to get approved.
Fucking took forever.
And it's like, we called them and we're like, hey, so how's everything going? And we lost your background checks. I'm like, it's a system. Like you don't lose, like, you know, and it put us off. But I mean, once we got open, we still got open. And I think our pounds were right at like the 2,800 a pound, you know, mark. And now, you know, I hear people selling them for $1,000 a pound of indoor.
Yeah.
We're not there. Thank God, you know.
Yeah, I've heard even lower than that.
Yeah. We still get, you know, double that. So
what's been your guys' biggest challenge in cannabis?
I would say the oversaturation in the market.
Oversaturation so heavily, man. Like,
I think that's hurting everybody right now. I haven't talked to a single company that's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, bring it on. It's, you know, they just licensed everybody plus all the people that aren't playing by the rules and bringing it in from wherever. And I think it's created this massive oversupply in New Mexico.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you look at the demographic, look at New Mexico. Like this isn't California, right? Like you don't have that many people here. So if you it's very easy to oversaturate, and it doesn't take time.
Tourism isn't going up.
No.
And so I think to think that there's just going to be a flood of new people or new traffic to the state, there's nothing here that's going to warrant that.
Right.
I mean, past cannabis, but there's not anything new. We'd need some sort of new attraction.
Right. Exactly. And with us, it's also kind of the education or the educating, you know, the consumers, right? Yeah. Like a lot of people that are new consumers, the first thing they do is go to the biggest, you know, spot that they can go to that's a little bit more corporate, right? Yeah. So therefore, they don't really do the research of what they're putting in their body. They don't take pride in the brand and how they grow it, you know? Yeah.
They just go with whatever's fucking recommended at the corporate spot.
Yeah. And just with everything.
Whoever's on paid promotion.
Right. Yeah. So I think like if New Mexico was a little bit more ahead and a little bit more educated on that, I think the industry would also do a lot better because you wouldn't really see, you know, too much outdoor on shelves unless it was quality, right? Yeah.
So do you think that's one of DAFT's strengths right now is that you guys are, you know, tied into the culture and you guys are putting out quality product with education to go with it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Quality and education go hand in hand. Yeah.
No, that's what I've noticed. I've noticed the cool thing about you guys is, and I've brought it up to you before, the cool thing about you guys' shop is the skateboarding kind of, you know, the kind of street culture aspect to it. And like you said, you kind of touched on earlier, all those cultures kind of mix. Yeah. And so I think it's cool. I don't think anybody else has taken that approach necessarily. Right. With a cannabis dispensary, at least in New Mexico.
Well, and like from us growing up, you know, what is there to do in New Mexico besides extreme sports and hunting, fishing, you know, getting out and doing all that? That's literally what we grew up doing. So, you know, we want to establish a brand for New Mexico, and we're both local, so it was very easy for us to be like, this is what we think is cool, right?
Yeah, right. This is what we grew up with.
Slap this together, right? Yeah. And so far, a lot of people like it, you know? And then, of course, we try to have, you know, as many strains on deck as possible of our own grown weed. But it's just...
And you guys are all indoor?
We're all indoor, yeah.
Nice.
All indoor, yeah. Everything, like, I guess, from, like, start to finish, man. We have our director of cultivations, Justin Lopez, he's pretty... he takes pride in everything. I mean, it's actually quite ridiculous and meticulous.
You guys have a really nice facility. I've been there a while back when we first started doing business together, and it was impressive. There's so many people that are in the industry that are half doing it, you know what I mean, and kind of just growing out of these haunted house looking fucking rooms.
I saw one that was like a senior citizen center at one point, and it was like
fucking wild.
I'm not saying you can't, you know, reno a building into a badass grow, but it takes money, especially if you're converting something that was way different. It's one thing to start with a empty warehouse, you know what I mean, and make it look nice, but it's another thing to take somewhere that was made for something completely different and turn it into a grow. So and that's cool, man. And I like I said, I'm still blown away by the fact that you guys are able to run both companies, and you guys have figured out how to do that at such a young age. You said you're barely 30, right?
Yeah.
No, that's that's super inspiring. And I think it's inspiring to our listeners and people that are following your guys' story. And yeah, what's in it for the future? What's next?
Oh man, currently working on another license right now.
Okay.
Trying to bring something else, to the state at our dispensary.
Okay.
See how that goes, man. Right now we're just waiting on that. Some, definitely a lot of moves. Right now we're just trying to put more product out there, manage, the same price, and still do business with people like you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have definitely established like a household brand, right? I see you on every shelf, and whenever you get to that point, man, you can only just hope that your brand is something that people expect to see at every dispensary, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that was the goal, I think, coming into the industry in the medical, even back with just medical, is develop the company, become a household brand. I wanted as many New Mexicans as possible to have the product.
Right.
And because I stood behind the product, I thought the product was good, but not only that, I wanted that to get that reach across the state.
Right.
And that is the hardest thing to do, especially as the market continues to saturate.
Right.
So yeah, there's a reason Jimmy Joe, is coming up with $5 fucking grams.
Right.
Because it's $5 grams or he fucking doesn't pay his light bill.
Right.
You know what I mean? And shuts down his company. And so as that number unfortunately probably keeps going lower, people are going to get more and more desperate to get their name out there.
Right.
Whereas established companies and people that have already put their name out there, they have a leg up and will, hopefully as one of those companies be the ones to withstand the storm of saturation.
Right.
I don't think the state's going to shut down licensing. I don't think they're going to put a moratorium. I think they want fucking fees.
Yeah.
I think they're like fucking.
Well, because people
give
pay
it
them
to
too.
me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fuck yeah, people pay
they'll
them.
pay them all day.
Oh, you know how many people have paid them and never got their company off the fucking ground? Like literally it was just like, okay, step one, get the license and pay this fucking fee. And they never got past that. And the state said fucking,
yep, just
reel it in,
yep.
reel it in. Oh, fucking CCD officers, we don't need that. Reel it in, get the fucking fees. And this is where, I will say, the state has not taken the best approach to things. Is there should, in my opinion, be a moratorium on licenses. There should be. You should stop licensing right now.
Yep.
To an extent, and then allow the licenses that are available to become transferable.
Yes.
And so that means Joe Schmo, fucking
an alcohol license,
Joe Schmo
yeah.
didn't do it right. Cannabis can then turn their company over to companies that are doing it right and want to expand, or companies that, I don't know, the guy that came in late and had to wait to retire from the post office before he could start his lifetime dream of, a cannabis company. Maybe, obviously he should be. And then that'll allow Joe Schmo didn't do it right cannabis to maybe make a couple bucks selling his license.
Yeah, and get out without having to take too big of a hit,
fucking some dignity.
Yeah, exactly.
With a Honda Civic.
It's just,
you know what I mean? Or something, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like, you look at some of like the numbers that these places put up, like, like on the RLD website, right? And you're just like, how do you still stay open, Wow. And for us, it's like, I wish there was some type of educating that would be for these other business owners, because it's like, if you are, having to drop your price, like you're only going down and there's no way up, you're on the race to the bottom and you need to get out. Right. And instead of, worrying about your pride, it's like, just get out, man. Like a real entrepreneur fails many of times. Like it's okay. Like get out.
Well, and there's many other things to do in life. You know what I mean? If you didn't make it in cannabis, holy shit. And I think obviously you guys are testament to that, from working at the car dealership to just noticing a need that needed to be filled, or just a route that you guys could make money and could do something that was helping fill a need.
Yeah.
And they say that's all entrepreneurship is to a like a bare minimum is just someone who can identify a need and figure out a way to provide that need, to fill that need.
Right.
And it's as simple as that. So I think that there's something to say about that is, money is all around. Success, businesses, different things you could do is all over the place. It's just how hard are you paying attention? One a friend of mine that I've met over the years, an older guy, he rents equipment to oil companies, and he basically was working for oil companies, and he found out they needed a certain type of equipment, and they couldn't rent this equipment. They couldn't own this equipment.
Right.
It had to be rented for accountability.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if the governing agency found out that they, own their own equipment, they probably wouldn't use it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was kind of something silly. So he went and used all his saved up money to buy said equipment and start renting it to the oil company.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, he did this. Every time he made money, he multiplied it, bought more and more and more equipment, and now lives a great life, on the water in his boat, you know what I mean? Hanging out, partying every day, hanging out with family and just loving life. And it was because when he was a younger man, he was sitting there working, busting his ass, thinking about how the fuck am I going to get, not have a boss, basically. How am I going to get to the water, get to the lake? And he's seen that there was this problem that needed to be filled. Yeah. And he was like, fuck, who says I can't do that? And I think it's that little step in life that you kind of go, you pass that little step that says, hey, who says I can't do that?
I'm just going to go do it, right?
Yeah.
Like we were having this conversation, was it yesterday, I think? And it's like the people that sit here and like, oh, I'm going to work on getting there, or I'm going to try to get there. They just consistently do the same thing, over and over. And now it's like, I've came to realize if you're going to do it, man, you're just going to do it. You're going to go get what you want, right? And you'll find every single way to get there. Yeah. And like, when it comes to being like an entrepreneur, the first thing you need to be is resilient, right? Like you just need to not give you can't care, man. Like you can't care what you look like while you're doing it. You can't look at what other people are doing. And you just have to find your own path to your success, right?
Yeah.
So
no, I think you're right about that. There's a certain type of you have to be able to put yourself out there. You can't care what you look like because, you're probably not going to look too good doing it at first anyways. So if you focus too much on that,
dude.
If you focus too much on that, you're never going to get past that. Mm-hmm. But no, you just got to stick your neck out there. And I think that there's a lot of people that are right there, you know what I mean, waiting, and they haven't found their observation yet where they can say, oh, cool, this is my ticket. Right. And I think all it takes is that one observation to change your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the market and cannabis, what do you think? They're really cracking down on the Delta hemp products right now across the country. They're trying to figure it out. I think the feds are really leery of everything cannabis because of the hemp bill stuff going around. If they eliminate that stuff, do you think that'll be a big booster for the cannabis industry, the actual cannabis industry?
Could be. I mean,
for the black market, right?
Yeah.
I think for the black market, it's going to be huge, because people are going to, not have another option, right?
Yeah.
But I think for us, the people that, that aren't consuming cannabis, right? Like, they're probably still not going to be able to consume it, man. And that's kind of what the Delta products and the hemp products get you around having to do.
Yeah.
But with the whole rescheduling, and everything like that, hopefully, man, it starts to get looked at a little bit differently.
Well, and I don't know if you saw in recent news, the mushroom edible poisonings, there's a couple deaths already from it. Google it, look it up. But
the mushrooms are
they're the diamond shrooms or something, some sort of mushroom edible that's sold at vape shops and smoke shops. Non-cannabis, non-Delta product, but it's a mushroom product. I guess, had like mass amounts of something it shouldn't have. They recalled like crazy amounts in a crazy amount of states, and the numbers are nuts. You can look it up, mushroom edible recall or whatever.
Right.
But I think that the reason I bring it up, this isn't really a mushroom podcast, but I bring it up because I think it shed light. It puts a spotlight and a bad glare on those smoke shops and vape shops that are selling the whatever products, whatever the fuck you want to call
the other
it.
option, right?
The imitation, you know what I mean? Imitation products, hemp products, mushroom products, these different things that are just kind of in that gray area. Mm-hmm. And I think the more that envelope is pushed, I don't know. I think I'm hoping it'll bring a lot of people towards our industry and say, okay, I'm done dealing with that shit.
And I think it could like work as well as like once again, educating the consumer thing. Like, oh, this isn't good, but cannabis has no no bad anything really. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've never heard a bad story about cannabis besides somebody getting a little paranoid, you know, and it's like,
what do you guys think about cannabis culture? A lot of people are saying it's dead. Do you think cannabis culture is still alive, or has this corporate fucking, fake model taken over? And is that all people care about?
I personally don't think it's dead. I think it takes to consider culture to be dead is a powerful statement.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge statement.
I don't think it's dead, but I definitely think the corporate industry has affected it.
Yeah, right. Well, sure. And it stops the new customers from being able to dabble into the fun stuff, right? And I think like that's where cars and cannabis relate a lot. Is you have the people that drive like the normal Nissan to work every day, and then you have the people that want to get a car and make it their own vehicle, right? Yeah. You have somebody that's waiting for a specific car to be dropped, right? And that's the same thing with cannabis. With DAFT, that's a huge goal of ours. Is some people also mature out of those things, right? Some people grow up and they just like, I don't have the time to keep up with everything. So with DAFT, we're like, we just need to make it that consistent thing where we always have good releases. You can come in, you feel welcomed. We're going to answer all your questions and also relate to you. Like, it's crazy how many people we have on our team that were like customers at one point. They come in and they're so educated about the product and so passionate about the product that they're continuously purchasing. Like, what better person to have selling that, right? Yeah. So it's just it's a crazy thing, man. I don't think it's dead. I just think that there is a select
and I agree
group
with
of people.
I think saying it's dead is like kind of like an old timer thing, like, culture's dead. I'm sure the fucking hippies, would say the same thing. I think it's changed. I think cannabis culture has changed generationally. I think it's changed with the generations and it's different. I don't think it's dead. I think you still have your old heads that, need to get high. We'll get high no matter what. I guess I'm one of those. But also you have a level of connoisseurs, like you said. And I think this goes back to, Z Labs. We asked Zach from Z Labs if, quality would remain, if quality could sustain, our poor side of New Mexico, our being the poorest state in the nation. And he said, you still got a fucking line at Ruth Chris every day. Yep. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but there's still a line at the nice steakhouse every night. There's still, there's still people that shop premium.
Exactly.
And I think there will always be people that are kind of embedded in the culture and will keep the culture alive by shopping by quality. Right. Shopping for what tastes good, for what has actually been grown accurately and to its full potential.
Right. And then you also have like the patient side of things, right? You have the patients that are specifically looking for terpenes, and we have one customer that comes in and buys every eighth of Cake and Kim that we have in stock. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll get you some from the grow. How much
people
do you want,
get
right?
so strain struck.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it's crazy, man, because I will, as soon as it gets in stock, she checks the website every time and she just comes in, gets all of our Cake and Kim. It's, so, you do have those patients that it works very specifically for.
Where that comes from is they had something and it worked.
Right.
Who knows if it was just cannabis and THC that was working for them, but they liked the way they felt when they tried that one.
That specific one.
Either the taste or the feeling, or it didn't make them paranoid, or whatever in their inside they believe they want that same experience over and over again. And it's understandable. You know what I mean? Me, I'm different. I need a variety. But I need everything to be really good, really tasty. I smoke for taste at this point. I'm the barely,
same exact way, man. Like,
you know what I mean? I can get burnt, but not really high. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Like, my friends always look at me messed up because like the little bit of weed that's left over in my grinder after like I roll like a joint or something, you know, some people might crucify me for this, but I throw it out, dude. I'm not gonna drink, or I'm not gonna smoke on like too dry of weed. Like I love my weed to be cured so perfect. Like honestly, I'm such a particular person when it comes to it.
I knew a guy, fucking Cool Keith. He used to load a bowl, and he used to take like 2 hits off that fucker, and then.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm that way right now.
And dude, he used to say too, I smoke for taste.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. Seriously. He's like, tastes like shit. Last part of it.
Yeah,
you know, and
I'm like a big fan of like, you know, like just small like light bowls. You know, I hate when people pack a bowl, dude. I'm so particular. Like, no, I want everything to burn, right?
See, so me, not only do I smoke for taste, but I'm also like a junkie at this point, and I usually smoke way too big, way too much concentrate in it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like oversaturate. And
that's how I am with food, bro. Like, so
me too.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. So like, it's just I do think that as time goes on and the market matures more, I think there is going to be also a good, you know, size group of consumers that we have here in New Mexico that start knowing what they like. Yeah. Right. And they are going to start, you know, going and rolling hash holes every time. Right.
The great green hope.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's just, how do we get them there? Right. It just takes time.
So what's your wildest, story so far in business?
Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk about this one. Yeah. So this was recent, man. We've been friends for 16 years, right?
Yeah.
And
16 years.
And during that time, we've never fought. Never got into a fist fight. We've argued, right?
Never a fist fight, even from teenagers?
No, man. And the crazy thing is it happened like a year ago now, dude. Like, so it was right before we opened the dispensary. And we were at the dispo, and dude, it was just one of those days, you know?
Fucked up day.
And it was just the way he was looking at me, dude. The way he's looking at me. No, I'm just kidding. So we got into this huge discussion, and
I just picture stepbrothers right now.
Yeah, no, that's the way it was, dude.
Exactly.
So there's a whole bunch of people working in there. They're doing like our drywall and stuff, and one guy's working on the counter, and me and Dalton are just arguing. We're getting into it, and like I look at him, and I don't even remember what I told him, but it set him off, right? This dude started doing Muay Thai like, I don't know, like what, maybe like 7 months before that,
right? It was a while before.
So his confidence, man, is through the roof at this point.
Yeah. Dude, like getting a new gun.
Yeah.
It's like, I am a trained weapon.
Yeah. So he literally throws the hardest right hook at me, man. And he catches me.
Fucking snapped. Dude, I just lost my mind.
He catches me right here. I have a scar underneath my beard. Like he split my chin open. And this dude like dazes me. So I'm like, I'm about to get knocked out. So I shoot in on him, and I take his back, and then I start choking him, right? I'm like, I've done jiu-jitsu. So I'm like, dude, I got you, right? So anyways, so then, right, like we kind of settle down, like I'm not going to choke this dude out. He already split my mouth open. This is all in front of all the workers, dude.
Oh, no.
Yeah, trashy, dude. So
there was no
I've never seen people.
There was no shit talking. It just went straight to fight.
Just straight to fight.
Straight to fight,
immediate, just
like two pit bulls.
Case
closed. Just fucking
yeah, dude. It was, dude. It was the funniest thing, dude. So no one stopped us. You know, everybody.
No, of course not. You're the boss.
Yeah, dude. Everybody. Dude, yeah. Everybody that was in there worked like 10 times harder after that. It was like, dude, so we get up and we like practically dust each other off, and we're like, dude, sorry, man. got out of hand, gave each other a hug, and we got back to work, dude. We went straight to a meeting after that.
You're all emotional and shit, you know.
I had to lie about what happened, and
only in Burke can you fight your partner in front of your staff.
It wasn't
and
our
be cool,
staff.
go back to work and laugh about it later on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Not our staff, but
it
was the guys that were
the contractors.
The contractors guys. Yeah. So it was.
Oh, it wasn't your staff.
No.
Yeah, no, it was some people that have never.
They worked hard as fuck.
Yeah, they fucking got to work.
Oh,
dude.
That's classic.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was probably the buildup of just the stress of fucking doing business.
Yeah.
It was
well, and never fighting each other.
Yeah, man. yeah, but
it is extremely hard for two people to come together and constantly agree on everything. And in sense, you don't want to, because you want that balance, but in a sense, you have to. Someone always has to compromise. You know, the old dirty saying is, in business, somebody's always got to be on their knees, you know, in a partnership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can take that in the dirty side, or you can take that in the side of compromise, where someone has to compromise. It's either your idea or your idea. Very few is it this like combined fusion of ideas. You know what I mean?
What it's like most of the time, which is wild.
Yeah. Like we're definitely really good at also telling each other like the harsh reality of things and accepting that, you know?
Yeah.
But like it's just that's really what we work on, man. Really, we work on our communication all the time. And like people like, dude, you fought your business owner, and I'm like, well, I actually like really fought my best friend. Like we've been best friends before business forever, you know. So it's like fighting your brother.
So
you know?
So what happened afterwards? Did you guys not talk, or like?
No, he went outside. He called his girlfriend. And was like, man, you will not believe what Kenan just did. And I was like,
you guys laughed to drink a beer over it, or what?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it was
Snapchat,
cool.
and I was like, remember this for this day.
How funny. Were you guys injured?
Yeah, my mouth. So. Dude, my mouth was split, and my ear on this side was like hurting from like when I would bite. And then this dude,
my cartilage is still all fucked up in the center.
Oh, I need him in his nose. I forgot about that. Yeah, so I got a knee in there as well.
Started bleeding out of my nose and stuff. And I think that's what really triggered me when I saw that. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Made me bleed my own blood.
Yeah, I was like, I'm bleeding?
Yeah.
So that's that stepbrother part where you're like, you're fucking bleeding? You know, like.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, and that's also kind of one of those, and that's really cool if you guys talk about it too, because I think that's one of those things where business is hard. Life's hard. Like if you want to like make it to the next level, like shit gets real, and stress is a constant, and there's this overload of weight on your shoulders constantly. And I think so many people that want to get into business and want to do this and want to make that easy weed money, as a lot of people think it is, don't realize this shit's fucking hard, and it's heavily taxed, and it's unforgiving, and it doesn't give a fuck if you put your grandma's house up, and it will crush you if you're not, in a sense, a warrior, and in a sense willing to get up every day and fucking hit the bag and train and punch and fight, and theoretically, of course, guys, but in a sense of attacking your goals and making it to the next level. And, you know, we talked about it last time we talked, you know, what was the next step? You know what I mean? You guys, I walked in on you guys having a business meeting basically at your table, and it was what are the next step? Do we put our money here? Do we put our money here? Do we do this? Do we do that? That has got to constantly create a stressful, you know, heavy weight on your chest. And so, you know, being man enough to say, hey, I snapped one day, you know what I mean? Or we both finally, after so many years of knowing each other, you know what I mean, let some of that emotion and aggression out. I mean, that's natural.
Yeah,
you know
for sure.
I mean?
Touching on that, I think it's crazy too, because people in business don't understand, like, they go into the cannabis industry thinking like money, but it's still business at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's cannabis, automotive, or restaurant, it's still the same shit. And every single day you have to go at it, you know, with that mindset. It's not like it's not a different thing just because it's cannabis. It's still business. Business is business, right? Everyone goes through the same trials, the same heartaches, the same everything that gets thrown at you day in and day out. Like no matter what, you're going to wake up and each day is going to be different, you know? And that's a big thing too, is what we've realized over time, is that no, you can. It's important to plan, but never is it usually going to go as planned. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, never goes the way you plan it, man. So like honestly, just being able to fail fast and bounce back is the biggest way to go about it. You know, get all the bullshit out of the way and attack the goal. You know, go for it.
Hell yeah. Well, it seems like you guys have a plan, and it seems like it's working well for you guys. Really glad you guys came on. Thank you very much. I'm inspired by you guys' story, and I think everybody else will be too. Where can people find you, follow you? What's the social media stuff?
Daft Republic Co. is on Instagram. You have to look at it or just type it up. Hella Clean Automotive is our other Instagram for other business.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's our two main accounts. You can follow us on and give us a follow and check us out.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and you guys have a good day.
Thanks, bro.
Welcome to the Pharm team.